All right, let's just have a look at this. Cool, that seems to be all working. I can see your own screen. That's always good. Quality's crud again. Never mind. Cool, so morning all. Hope you're all doing okay. Let me know if this stream is working, because what I'm going to have to do is kind of do a little snidey little comments thing there. So if I see you kind of commenting here, I can be like, oh, okay, everyone can see the stream and stuff like that. There we go. As you can see, I'll probably start sliding that over in a second, and that will start working just like that. So I'll wait. Hopefully this is working. There we go. Cool. Brilliant. That's absolutely fine. I'm happy with that. So today we are going to create a spiral staircase in Cinema 4D. I usually go a little bit slower than my usual tutorials because this is kind of live and you kind of want people to kind of get into it and kind of to get their kind of groove on, which is perfectly fine, which is okay. So what I'm going to do is just go with the process and see what people sort of want to do, and if there are any questions, hopefully they'll sort of pop up or whatever, or stuff like that. Okie dokes. Cool. So what we're going to do is I'll make sure to take notes as well, because it can get a little bit confusing with little bits we're going to do today. So what we're going to do is start with a square, and we're going to make sure that we are on just our model mode, so we can size this down. And what we're going to do first of all is just create our step and what that will look like. So yeah, something like that. So we're going to create a standard looking step. What I'm going to do, I might just leave that there for now. It might just look better right centered like that. That's absolutely fine. That is all good. So this is going to be the step for all of our staircase, not just like a main one and then we create a load of others. This will be the step for all of our spiraling staircase. We're then going to make this editable up in the top left hand corner. Once we've done that, we're going to make sure we go to points, and I'm going to select the points on the end over this end here, not of this the front end, because I want it to sort of spiral over like this. As you can see, my mouse moving is going to spiral like this. So what I'm going to do is choose my rectangle selection tool, select those ends, and with scale, I'm going to scale that step in just like that. As you can see, it's gone in a little bit further, and this will help with the spiral motion. And then I'll just make it a little bit thicker, just like that. Cool, so not too much. So that you can see there from that shape, I've brought it in with the scale and made it a little bit thicker than the other end. So it's like that. Okay, so you can see it gets a bit thicker. Just like that. Cool, and there we go. There's our initial step, which we'll use to create the rest of our spirals. Then what we're going to do is we make sure we're clicked off those ends. You can see that the position of our cube currently, or our step, actually let's rename that. Let's make this, let's just call that step. We can see that the position of our step is currently at X, Y and Z over down here is all at 0 centimeters, because it's right in the center. What we're going to do is just move this off the center. So if we go back to edit mode, we can quickly move this to around, let's have a look, around there. That should be fine. I'm actually going to move it a little bit more. I'm going to move it around there, and I'm going to show you, and I'm just about to show you why I'm moving the step just off center of position of this center spot here. So we know that this is the center of X, Y and Z here, right in our center. So we want our spiral to start from here, okay? And the way we're going to do that is by moving our axes and moving our axes. So what we're going to do is flow over to this icon and click on enable axes. We're then going to move our axes over to here, and if we look at our position again, 0, 0, 0, let's just make sure that's definitely 0, press enter, there we go. So what we're enabling, we've clicked enable our axes, and we've switched that over to the center, and when we've changed that to 0, 0, 0, okay? And what this will allow us to do is create that swirl, and it's a lot easier to kind of dictate and go off from this center axis to create the railings and the rest of the steps and things like that, okay? So with that, before I used a cloner tool until I found this other really cool tool within Cinema 4D. So I click off enable axes called duplicate. So what we're going to do is make sure we're clicked on our step. We're going to go to tools, arrange objects, and duplicate. So I'm going to hang on there for a second so you know where to go. So I'm into tools, arrange objects, and then duplicate. Okay. And this is like a cloner, but like a little bit easier to kind of understand. So if I click on duplicate, you can see the options for duplicate are at the bottom here. And at the moment it says copies and it says 8. But for this example, I'm just going to do 40. So this would be that how many steps do I want? Okay. So if I type 40 steps and then press enter, if I probably zoom out, you might be able to see, I can't see them yet, that's fine, no worries. And then under options, it's going to say mode, select mode, and I'm going to choose linear. Okay, and then linear says, once I've done linear, I'll probably have to zoom out, and there we go. You can see that I've got loads of other steps, but they're obviously really far apart. They're actually 500 centimeters apart if we look at duplicate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 30 centimeters. There we go. So once I've changed that to 30 centimeters, I have all of my steps there. Okay. So at the moment, they're not at a spiral, but they're in line, which is really good. So what we can do is go to rotation, enable rotation here. If I check enable rotation, and on the x-axis, I'm going to change this to 18 degrees. And there we go. We've got a really cool looking spiral thing going on. They go up quite high, I must admit, but that's looking quite cool there. So hopefully you've got something like that already working out for you, and that's because we enabled the axis. This is why this is working so smoothly, so quickly. And obviously using duplicate as well instead of cloner. I think cloner has a lot of steps to it and can be a bit of a battle. So duplicating them and creating them as quickly and as easily like that makes life a lot easier. What we're going to do is just have a look at the cool. Wicked, no worries, that's fine. Wicked, that is looking good. So our next steps we're going to want to do is to create our kind of the handlebars almost. So what we're going to want is let's have a look. If we go into pen, let's have a look. Let's choose helix, and that's good. That's what we want. And on helix, we can see on the options for helix at the bottom, we've got our plane, which is X and Y. I'm going to change that to X and Z, okay? Because that's now working in the parameters of X and Z. So if I zoom into that more, and this is going to be the bottom railing to kind of be the main fixture for our stairs, okay? So at the moment, that's not going to work for us because it's only going to create our handlebars around here. So we need to edit this, okay? So just make sure you've got you've added your helix. So I went to pen and added a helix, and then I changed the plane to X and Z. Okay. I'm then going to edit the height of this. So as you can see, you've got the height of 200 centimeters. If I start to pull that up, you can kind of see where I'm getting at. What I'm going to want to do now, I want my helix to line up with all of these stairs, because this is going to be like the main metal bar that's along along the staircase. Okay, so if we keep going with this, that looks quite good. Let's have a look. That seems to be joining with all of them. I'm quite happy with that actually. So let's have a quick look. So what I'm checking is making sure that this helix is going to go through all of my spiral staircase, which it looks like it is, which is really good, which is really helpful. Cool, so the next, I could do with this metal bar being a little bit more to the outside. So what we can do for that is if we come back around to our first step, so it all lines up nicely, just in case it doesn't. What I'm going to do is change our end and start radius. Okay, so our start radius, I'm going to move that to around, around there. So 230, let's change that just to 230 quickly. 230, and then end radius is going to be the same, because at the moment it would be spiraling and then getting narrower at the top for our end radius, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is change this to 230. Cool, and that should work still, but it's more to the ends now, the ends of the step. And we can double check this by, if we go to our top view, there we go, perfect, look at that. If you look at our top view, you should have like almost like a perfect circle. Because if end radius was still at 200, you'd have something like this, and there we go, we can still see that spiraling there. And if we change this to 230, you can see that it should create a perfect circle. So it should be, as we can see from the front and from the right, that this helix is going through all of the steps like this. So probably, what have I done here? A bit of a technical live tutorial, but I think it's at the stage where a lot of my second year learners are at. So I thought I'd teach you something quite cool. And you always need stairs in some kind of games, don't you? Even if it's not a spiral staircase, it's good to know that even if you wanted to create normal stairs, you can create them normally just by using duplicate and just the linear path. Cool. So what we're going to do next is, and this is a little bit like splines, by the way. So if you're like, oh, is this like splines? Yeah, it's 100% like splines. We're going to use sweep and everything else. So what we need to do is thicken this up. We need to thicken, so to create this as a metal bar going through all of our stairs. Best way to do that is by going back onto pen, and we're going to choose circle. Wicked, that's already the correct radius for us because it's facing this way. So we don't need to change that, okay? You might need to change it on your version of Cinema 4D, depending what one you're using. For radius, I'm going to choose 10 centimeters, so it's going to go very, very small. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is just move this over to where the helix is, just around there. Cool. So now we've got our circle and our helix and our objects. And so now we need to thicken this up. So the circle is going to represent the shape of what is going to be created. So with those two, we are going to find, where is it? Sweep, there it is. As you can see, sweep's already doing, you can also see from the icons what we want it to do, which is really good. So I'm going to add a sweep, and I'm going to add circle and helix. So I'm going to hold Control or Command if you're on Mac. Select these two here, and then put them into, parent them in with sweep, and then we have a beautiful looking metal pipe that's going all the way through our staircase, just like that. Lovely, cool. Obviously you can watch this video again, it will remain on my playlist afterwards. If you are indeed stuck, that is perfectly fine, do not worry about that one bit. What we're going to do next is create the handrail that's also going to go up there. Let me just have a look if there's ever any worrying comments or anything. MC Wiz looks good, thank you. Cool, so what we're going to do now is add, as I said, the handrail. So we're not going to confuse matters. We're simply going to duplicate this sweep because it's essentially doing what we already wanted it to do. So what I'm going to do is hold Control, click and drag down, and it copies that sweep. What I'm going to do with this sweep is then drag this up. So we've got a second one. Okay. Obviously the thickness is not looking quite right. So what I'm going to do on the sweep that I copied, I'm going to go back to circle, and then the circle radius is 10 as we changed before right at the start. Let's just half that to 5. There we go. So we've created a really cool looking handrail there, and that should all be in line already because all I've done is move it up on the Y axis. Okay, that's looking okay for now. It might need a little bit of a change. Might need a little bit more height, just a tad. Oh, not that one there. So if I click on the sweep, one, I can lift that just a little bit higher, and that's looking good. Cool, and then obviously you can customize this how you want because there are some sort of dodgy bits here, as you can see, and maybe you want the end of this to look a little bit more charming, but that's fine. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add a cylinder, and that's going to work as sort of the I don't know, just the bars to join our main bar and our main sweep together. So what we're going to do is let's add a cylinder. Cool, and radius is currently at 50 centimeters. Let's change this to 3 centimeters, and then we can lift this up, move it across, and probably change the size of this so it matches, so it looks good with this. So what I did was add a cylinder, and I've actually totally missed. There we go. So it might need to be mix it in a little bit more, a little bit closer. That'll do. That's fine. It's not going to win any awards for 3D design currently, but there we go. Cool, so that's looking good. So what we need to do with this is we then need to go up to MoGraph and then go to cloner. So we are going to use a cloner for this, for our cylinder, and we're going to drag our cylinder into the cloner. Okay, don't worry that the objects just moved there. We're going to sort that out, do not worry. So the next thing we're going to do is fix this issue with the cylinder over here. So if we click on cloner, mode linear, we're going to want to change that. Let's change this to object. Cool. And then once you change it to object, you may see that cloner is asking for an object. So what object are you adding in here? It's saying, okay. So what we're going to do is that we want the almost like the struts of this spiral staircase to do the same as what the helix is doing, don't we? Because that's the general shape that we're creating with our spiral. So what we're going to do, and what you can cleverly do, if you go on to change mode to objects, and you can see objects under here, what we can do, if we click on helix, or actually let's not click on helix, if we just click and drag helix to object, it will fit into there, and there we go. We have lots of different, it's not done quite what we wanted it to do, but we can edit this. This is what we can do, and it's gone all the way up to the top. Okay, so but it's put it in the general position, which is good of what we want. It to do. So let us look at helix, the cloner. So now we can change align with clone. Let's uncheck that. Awesome. So that's now made them straight. So what I did to do that was just uncheck align clone, and then let's go to transform on our cloner, because now this is where the movement's going to go. And let's move these down. Lovely, cool. I'm going to go with that. Okay, so we need, as we can see, that's all lined up lovely. But I would like some more. So what we can do, if we go back to object, you can see count, and count is currently at 10. So if we go up, we can see that we're adding more struts to our that looks quite nice actually. Maybe it looks 65. And there we go. We have successfully put together a really cool looking and accurate, can never say that word, specific and accurate looking staircase, spiral staircase in Cinema 4D, and we've done it in about 20 minutes. So it's really easy and really, really nice to do. I'm going to stay online for a little bit and answer any questions if there are any questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to colour this as well and make it look quite cool. Probably go for maybe a realistic look, maybe see what we can do with that. But that is essentially it. It's not very difficult. It's just knowing what to do. I think the most important part, and it was the enabling the axis and then knowing the degrees. But then obviously that is completely changeable with what you want to do, obviously, and then you can use the helix to dictate the shape and what you want to do and how you want to create it. You can also create a straight staircase as well. You can use the duplicate tool, which I think is really, really useful. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with that. I might move some bits around. I might just fiddle with this cloner. Well, it doesn't want to fiddle, but fiddle around with some bits and bobs. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. Let's have a look what we got on here. Message was retracted, doesn't matter, that's cool. Cool, so what I'm going to do is just colour this and then probably do a render and make it look good, and then that will be the end of the video. So if you do have any questions, obviously you can ask me or put comments below after the stream is done and dusted, but thank you very much. And yeah, this video will remain on my YouTube channel so you can watch it over and over again to your heart's consent. So what I'm going to do is have a look. Let's load some preset material. Let's cheat. Materials, wood, planks, texture, dark. Let's have a look at that. Ooh, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? So this will be for my stairs. Let's drag this over to step and then drag it over to stairs. Let's do initial render, so it looks like, doesn't look bad. Maybe we can change the UV mapping. So at the moment that doesn't look the worst thing in the world actually. But we can change this, we can make it look a little bit better. So let's have a look at the UV mapping. So if you click on the material, we can look at the UV mapping. It says projection, UV mapping. Let's change it to cubic. It's okay. Oh no, actually it's all gone a bit edgy there, isn't it? I suppose we can create a slight, let's have a look at changing the offset. That looks a bit weird. I might change that back to just UV mapping. So then we can change the length as well. How much is tiled? How many repetitions? I just want to move. Let's change that. What does 1 look like? I might just change that to 1 as well on the tiles. Oh, that's what we were on before, is it? Okay. What does 2 look like? Oh, okay. So that's increasing. If we go -2. Oh, that's even more. What's going on here? probably looks horrible, doesn't it, if we render that through? Oh, it doesn't look too bad actually. So is that minus 0.27? Let's have a look at that. So I've been really picky with my steps now. Yeah, that looks okay. We could probably change that to minus 0.28 for all of those. That looks quite good. Render that through. Cool. Well, that's not looking as good. So what have I done there? It's not. Let's remove that one. And what I can do? Can I copy this one? Or if I Command C it, or just command it to there. There we go. Oh, it's done that weird wonky thing again. What I'm going to do is just change this to UV mapping. Oh, it looks a bit dodgy. Frontal, no, horrible. Oh, I think it's the same issue. Oh no, that's better. It's kind of on the, still going straight, isn't it? The problem with all of this is kind of plank kind of thing. Let's have a look if we could get another material. So as because I'm just playing around. If I'm not happy with something, I won't go with it. Stay away from planks. Let's just go with a nice oak. Look at that. Add that to step. Nice. Let's just have a look. I always change the UV mapping because cubic is quite nice. Yeah, it just looks so much better all the time. Yeah, that might work for me actually. Yeah, that's looking nice. Cool. So happy with that. And let's have a look at other materials. Let's just see if there's any questions. Nope, there isn't. That's cool. That's fine. Let's have a look at. Let's go to metal. Preset, broadcast, materials, metal, gold, rusty steel, Teflon, lead. Let's try this steel. Ooh, that looks a bit moody. I've just totally forgotten. I've forgotten something in the 3D model. That's naughty of me. I've forgotten the post in the middle, which is really, really, really bad of me. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a metal post in the middle. So if you've been watching this and you think it's all done, it's not. It's very much not done. There needs to be like a metal post in the middle. And that is really easy to do, and that's why I've forgotten to add it. So if you are watching this video, I do apologise because I've started colouring and I haven't actually finished the whole thing. So what we're going to do is we are going to add a cylinder. Make sure it's right in the centre of this. So the best way to do this is if we go add a cylinder. There's now like a load of YouTube comments calling me an idiot. Not yet. Good. If we go to here, if we go to the centre and we can see this, and all I'm going to do is it's just an aesthetic thing really, and all I'm going to do is make sure that kind of meets with everything like there. Let's have a look at that. Cool. And then what I'm going to do is in this view, drag this cylinder up, and then we can expand it. Whoa. Cool. If we want that to be a little bit smaller, we can. And there you go, that is all you need. Sorry about that. That makes it look a lot better now, doesn't it, actually? Cool, I can't believe I forgot about that, my bad. So there you go, just need a cylinder in the middle to kind of reinforce, looks like it reinforces the whole of this staircase together. It's looking nice and lovely. There we go, apologies about that. Cool. Let's see what this metal looks like then on this cylinder first. Oof. Dark and horrible. What we can do is add a floor. So what we'll do is add some just bits and bobs in to make this look mildly more attractive. Let's quickly render that through. Nice, that's going, looking a lot better, looking a lot more realistic as well. I might just change the UV mapping on this stainless steel. Again, let's change it to cubic. Hasn't really changed, does it? Looks okay though, I might just stick with it. Cool, so what I'm going to do is, let's change this, add this metal also to the cloner. Oh, it's just moving it around. Helpful. There we go, and then all I'm doing is hold Command and then clicking it and dragging. Add them to these sweeps as well, not both of them. Just that one, and then that one to that one. Cool, so let's have a look at this. Let's have a look. Awesome, that's looking really, really nice. So all I did was I've added just a light, and I've moved the light up a little bit and asked the light to add in shadows. And then just going to probably do one more tiny little thing. I'm going to create a new material. Let's go to ward, reflection strength up, put that down a little bit, put that down, spectre strength. And I'm going to add this to the floor. So we've got quite a reflective floor. So when we add this, it should look a little bit more like a reflection in the floor there. Let's have a look at this. So this renders out. Nice, you can see a little bit of a reflection from this kind of textured floor, but this is starting to look really, really nice. And especially if you're doing concept stuff for a game or something, or a photorealistic game. Cinema 4D is probably one of the best ones to use. It's just really nice, quick, clean rendering. Look at that. Really happy with that. It doesn't look like the material's properly gone on the cloner, which is odd. I might have to put it on the cylinder as well, even though it doesn't look like it's on it there. Odd. Let's have a look. Let's render that through again. And that looks all right. Cool, lovely. So I might even just add a little bit more reflectance strength. Add down a little roughness. They've got real strong reflectiveness now. As you can even see it in the material. There we go. You can see a lot more reflections. Giving it a really kind of glossy, realistic look. Cool. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Watch it through again. It will be on online as well. It's in under a playlist called live streams. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and learning about new bits about Cinema 4D. Yeah, cool. Thank you very much, and I will speak to you and see you very, very soon. Thank you very much.